Hello and welcome to this first training video in order to know how best to set up your polling station and how to run the polling station, the polling day event. My name is Arthur Charvania. I'm the acting returning officer for the general election, and this session will be taking you through step by step in terms of exactly what to do. I just want to take the opportunity just to stress the importance of the general election though. As part of local democracy, obviously elections all the time are critically important to us, but particularly things like the general election, because we only get one attempt to get it right. And so it's very important that people pay careful attention to this training video. Clearly, you've either volunteered or been cajoled, so thank you very much for taking part in election day. Hopefully you'll find it entertaining. But there are three key areas that I just want to highlight, because I'm sure many of you will have been involved in previous elections, possibly the county council election that we just held, but there's subtly different changes when it's a general election. So the first of those is the franchise, so essentially who gets a vote. It's not exactly the same as the county council elections, and we'll explain during the course of the video how those changes operate. The second is a very practical one, which is at the close of the poll, where you need to take your ballot boxes, where you need to go in order to allow us to be able to run the count through the night and obviously make sure that we get the result for both of the MPs in our area. And the last major one is that we had, I'm sure, extremely busy days during the county council election, but clearly we're expecting the turnout for this election to be much, much higher. So you will be extremely busy. So having an efficient, well-organised, well-planned polling station will be critical, because you won't get any time to rest during the course of the day. So thank you for your attention. Please do think carefully about what you're about to hear. If you have any questions, obviously you know to contact the office ahead of the time of the actual election and pay close attention to the proceedings.
Okay, Donna, here we are. This is better, isn't it?
Yeah, not much nicer.
This is better than Flounton Church.
Oh, crikey.
Nice,
Anything's better than that.
Nice, lovely, clean polling station. We just want to go through a few basic things in terms of setting up your polling station and the sort of things to be aware of, and in particular the notices that we want you to display there. So the first thing we'll mention is that this size A2 notice and direction on how voters should vote at this election should go up both inside and outside of your polling station. If you find that the surfaces are difficult to adhere to, then try to use your imagination, use a chair or a table to make sure that one's both inside and outside. Inside the polling booths, there will be just one notice displayed, which will be this notice. It's the direction of how voters should vote in the polling booth, and obviously you will actually place these inside the booth itself, and that will be the only notice that goes up in your polling booth. On the subject of the booths, do make sure that you set them up with the white surfaces on the inside. Everything should be designed to make it as easy as possible for the voter and to make it as light as possible inside the booth. When you tie your pencils on, do make sure you tie those on with a nice long piece of string. We want it to be something that can be used both left-handed and right-handed comfortably. So make sure there's plenty of space on the string there. You will also have an enlarged ballot paper. It will be a larger ballot paper than this. It will be a full A3 size. This is available to the voters, so please make sure there's one on your table that they can look at. And also, if they wish to, they can take a copy of that into the polling booth with them. It comes back on the table again, but they can take it with them to assist them in the voting process. Do also please have a copy of this displayed on the wall so that voters can see that as well. Most of the other signage will be straightforward stuff. Obviously, you'll have the polling station notices both outside and directing voters into the polling station. You will have your disabled access signs and all the other usual directional arrows, etc., in terms of where you go. I'm sure many of you have set that up before, so I don't think we need to go through that at this point in time.
Okay, this is the black wallet. You'll receive one of these, and inside will be a sealed plastic bag with all the things that you'll need. This will have all your signage in, all your pencil case materials. You do not need to check this when you come into the office to pick up your ballot box. You can check this in the comfort of your own home. There may be a few things in there that aren't normally in there because the packs have been made up by Shaw's, and they sometimes add extra bits in that we're not aware of at the time.
Right, just in terms of setting up your polling station, the instruction really is that we have a logical sequence by which the voter comes into the polling station, is issued with their ballot papers, goes to the polling booth to mark those, and then returns to put them into the ballot box. So if the door is over here on my left, then ideally what we would like is for this to be the entrance, for the table of the staff to be set up thus, with a poll clerk and presiding officer, so that the voter comes in, approaches your table, talks to the poll clerk in respect of their elector number, is issued their ballot paper, they take it to the booth directly behind us or directly in front of us, where they mark their paper, and they then return and put the ballot paper into the ballot box here. So if Donna just runs through that sequence just in terms of how we perceive that happening. Hello.
My name's Donna Bridges.
Thank you very much, madam. And you are number 148 on the register. Could you just confirm your address, please?
Babergh.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you very much. Just a couple of things to remember with this election as well is we are anticipating that it will be busy, certainly much busier than you experienced if you worked at the county council elections. So we do anticipate there will be queues in the polling station. So obviously have your polling station set up in this manner to try to minimise the risk of people being able to oversee what's actually happening in the polling booth. For example, if you've got a big queue of people at your desk, it's better for them to be over this side, away from the polling booths, than it is for them to be queuing up along this area here, where somebody stood here can almost see what the guy is doing in the polling booth over there. So just do be aware of the secrecy of the ballot and ensuring that people can't be overseen or overlooked in the polling booths themselves.
Hello, setting up your table at the back for the presiding officer. We wouldn't like to come in and see a table like this because you're not going to find anything at the end of the evening. During the day, you can be setting up your table so that you've got everything set out in front of you. So the presiding officer would set out their table and make sure that their clear sack and their black sack are labelled up with the packing up instructions in the middle. You would put your envelopes in front of the clear sack, and you can write on those through the day so that you've got those all ready. And then you're going to look at your list so that you've got everything in a perfect order so that you can pack everything up. Babergh staff will have a green wallet for postal votes. Mid Suffolk staff will have a red envelope for postal votes. And this is the rest of your equipment. If you work for Mid Suffolk, you'll have one of these flat pack boxes. So when you go to seal it, if the caretaker's still in the room, I would ask them just to check inside to see that there's nothing in the box. These come with 2 zips. The first zip seals the box at the start of poll. Right, pull the zip right round and it will clip into the grey. You then use one of the coloured seals. They could be green or white. And if you look at the seal carefully, you'll see there's a point on one side of it. That needs to go in and then clip down. You will see there's a V there. At this point, write down the seal number on the back of your ballot paper account.
If you're working for Babergh, you will have one of the rigid ballot boxes, the lids for which are something of a beast to fit. If you make sure that you get these lugs, of which there are only on one side of the hinge side, underneath the brackets, then that should assist you in making sure that you get your lid on properly. It closes like that. What we will do at ballot box reception is we always make sure we've got the lids put on properly, and you don't then have to take it off unless you wish to do so when you're checking your box. So when you seal your box with these, we ask you once again to put a numbered seal on the box. So just one of these, one numbered seal. So that will go through one of the seals, one of the holes on the front of the box, and tie that tight at the start of the poll. Obviously you do have the number on there, and that is the number which you will put on your ballot paper account. So on the back of the account, as Donna referred to earlier, put the number on there. Okay, so the other two you can seal with one of these cable ties, which will be in the materials in the black wallet, and simply feed that through the top one of the two. And with the seals, one thing we'd like you to do, obviously, is make sure they're tight, but not too tight. Leave a little bit of a gap in there so that we can comfortably snip those and get the box open when we come to the count.
It's really important that you set up your polling station in a way that's accessible to all voters, meaning that they have an equal voting experience. Some of the critical things for accessibility are making sure that there's a clear path to the booth and to the ballot box, and that the ballot box is at a suitable height for wheelchair users to be able to put in their ballot papers. The other element is the large print ballot paper that Gary previously mentioned. This should be available for electors to use as a handheld, larger print version of the ballot paper. The other thing that you must make sure you know how to use is the Braille voting device for blind or partially sighted electors. There are instructions on the back of the packet about how to use this, so please familiarise yourself with those details, but also we'll just run through how this is used now. What you need to do is cut the device to the required number of candidates. So if you have 5 candidates on your ballot paper, as in this example, you will need to cut the device under number 5. The device is then stuck to the ballot paper so that the numbers align with the candidates in numerical order. You need to remove the sticky backing on the device to fix it to the ballot paper. It's low tack, so it will come off again once the electors cast their vote. Once the device is stuck onto the ballot paper, you will need to advise the elector which number relates to which candidate. So you can simply say the candidate's name and the party they represent and the number. That will enable the elector to go into the polling booth on their own and choose the candidate using the numbers as the reference. Preparation and pre-planning should mean that you don't have any problems on the morning of poll, but emergencies do happen. If you're unwell, then you need to let us know as soon as possible so that we can get somebody to replace you at the polling station. We will be on call throughout the night, so please do ring us as soon as you know you will be unable to do your duties, so we can arrange for a replacement as soon as possible. If you get to your polling station and you can't get in, then you need to take steps to open a temporary polling station for 7 AM. If you don't open your polling station, that puts the whole election for the whole constituency in jeopardy. So please, whatever you can do, you need to set up a temporary station. That could be in the boot of your car, it could be in a nearby shelter, for example a bike shelter, but something needs to be set up and open so people can be issued with ballot papers at 7 o'clock. If you've got an emergency situation like that, you need to phone your polling station inspector. They will help you to get things set up and ready so you can be going on with getting the poll running and they can sort out accessing the polling station for later on. If a member of your team doesn't turn up, again, phone your polling station inspector. You need to be concentrating on getting the polling station set up and ready to open at 7 o'clock. They can then be calling a member of staff to see what's happened and arranging a replacement if necessary. So we're just going to talk through the register of electors and the proxy voters list. It's really important that you know your way around the register and you know how to quickly find electors so that you can help them have the smoothest possible experience in the polling station and to avoid a queue of people while you're trying to find names. So if we have a look at an example register. The register is numbered in street name and then by property number. So you need to just make sure that you know how to find the streets quickly and navigate to the correct address. For help, we've also included an alphabetical register, so you can use that if you're struggling to find an elector on the ordinary register. Please make sure you do not mark this alphabetical register, it is just there for reference, and only the standard register should be marked and used to find electors and issue ballot papers. We will also give you a list of proxies that have been appointed for electors in your polling station. We expect this list might be quite long, because we are anticipating that there will be a number of electors making last-minute arrangements because they'll be on holiday or away on polling day. If you don't have any proxies appointed to your polling station, we will still give you this list, but it will be printed with none, as per this example. Electors are able to appoint an emergency proxy up until 5 p.m. on polling day. This is where they've, at the last minute, become aware that they cannot attend the polling station through service, employment, or through a medical emergency. In the event that an emergency proxy is appointed, if it's before you collect your ballot box, we will add that to your list of proxies. We'll manually write it on. If it's after you've collected your ballot box but before polling day, we will phone you and email you to inform you that a proxy has been appointed and ask you to manually write the name and the details on your list of proxies. If the proxy is appointed on polling day itself, which can and does happen, and we're likely to see more of those on a parliamentary election, we will phone you or text you if we're unable to get through on the phone to say that somebody has been appointed as a proxy and that you can issue them with a ballot paper when they attend your polling station. It's important that if you have no signal or a poor signal in your polling station, that you let your polling station inspector know, so that if we do need to contact you about emergency proxies, or if we need to give you another emergency message, that we know it may not be possible to get hold of you and we may need to send the polling station inspector to you to relay that message.
Good morning, sir. Can I take your name and address, please?
Mr. John Smith, 41 The Street.
That's elector number 173. I'm going to mark the register from the number to the name clearly.
I then write the elector's number on my corresponding list against the number of the ballot paper which I issued to that elector. I fold his ballot paper, open it up, and say, there you go, sir, thank you very much.
If you'd like to put your ballot paper in the box, sir.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I voted for the wrong person.
Okay, so that's not the person that you intended to vote for?
No.
Okay, well in that case, we'll take this and put it to one side and we will reissue you with another paper. What we suggest in this scenario is that you write cancelled across your ballot paper. You then put any sport ballot papers to one side. Keep that for later on because you'll check that at the end of the evening when you're putting together your package of unused ballot papers. You will then reissue the voter with another paper and you will mark the same voter number on your corresponding numbers list. So that elector's number will appear twice on your register, but it's not an abnormality, it's simply the fact that he has been issued with two ballot papers. There you go, sir. Thank you very much. And in that event of issuing a second ballot paper because of a spoilt ballot paper, we suggest that you write cancelled beside the number of the ballot paper which was spoiled. You will also, when you're issued with your ballot box and with your ballot papers, be issued with a small book of 10 or 20 tendered ballot papers. These will be pink ballot papers, obviously totally different to the large stack of ordinary ballot papers that you will have. These papers are solely to be used for what we call tendered votes, and the circumstances in which they are used is where a person comes into your polling station but it appears they have already voted. If that person is adamant that they have not voted and that somebody else has voted in their place, or if that person is on your register as a postal voter and they are adamant that they have not received their postal vote, then up until 5 o'clock they can be reissued with one at the council offices, but after 5 p.m. we can no longer reissue postal votes, and they also, if they are adamant that they've not voted, can be issued with a tendered ballot paper.
Oh, hello.
Hello. Oh, excuse me, you're not allowed to take any photographs in the polling station, madam.
But
It's
I
not
need
permitted.
to tweet that I'm voting because it's really important. This is
I'm
quite an
afraid
election.
it compromises the secrecy of the ballot, so we cannot allow you to take any photographs inside the polling station.
Well, that's ridiculous. Where's the sign that says I can't do it?
There is a sign for that,
Just
madam.
outside the door.
Okay. Well, anyway, I need to get my ballot paper. My
Okay.
name's Jane Smith. I live at the Grove.
That 131,
Yes, that's right.
I'm afraid you're an absent voter, madam.
Oh yeah, I know, but I haven't had my ballot paper, so I need to have one now.
I'm really sorry, but because you've already been issued with that ballot paper, we're unable to issue you with another paper.
Well, that's ridiculous. I haven't had my ballot paper, so I've come here to my polling station to get my ballot paper. So I'd like to have one, please.
Have you notified the council of the fact that you didn't receive your postal ballot pack?
Well, I've only just been able to look at it. You know, I'm a busy
Because
person.
we do put on the poll cards, for example, that if you haven't received your postal vote 5 days before the election, then do please contact us. But you are absolutely adamant that you've not received
No,
your postal
I think
vote.
I would know.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, in the circumstances, we can issue you with a tendered ballot paper. It will not be the same as an ordinary ballot paper, and it will not go into the ballot box. It will go into a separate envelope.
Okay.
That's because we have no reason sitting here in this polling station to know that you have not actually received your vote and returned it. I'm not doubting that with you, but obviously we don't know that
I thought you
ourselves.
could have a replacement ballot paper if you lose it or don't receive it. I thought you could have a replacement postal
You
pack.
can have that up until 5 o'clock on polling day. So up until 5 o'clock today, we could have sent you to the council offices to receive a replacement postal ballot pack. But obviously now it's past 5 p.m, there's no longer the facility to do that. So as I said, we can issue with the tendered ballot paper, but that's the only thing we're permitted in law to do now, is to issue you with that particular paper.
So I've been at work all day. I've made a special effort to come here to get a ballot paper, and you're saying to me I've got to have this pink ballot
Indeed,
paper?
yeah. It's because the nature of the system is such that we believe you've been issued with a postal vote. We have no means of knowing whether you have or received that or not. I'm not doubting you're saying that you haven't received it, but obviously because that's the case, that is the only route that we can go down now.
Well, that's ridiculous, but yeah, I'll have it. Give it to me, please.
Okay, in that case, I need to ask you these following questions. Are you the person listed in the register of electors as Jane Smith of Grove Hill?
Yes, I already told you that.
Okay.
I'm still that person.
And have you voted either here or elsewhere in this election other than as a proxy for another person?
I just told you I didn't have my ballot paper, so no, I haven't voted.
Okay. In that case, we can issue with a tendered ballot paper.
Can you hurry up, please? I need to get home.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. No, it doesn't go in the box, I'm afraid. The tendered ballot paper has to go into a separate envelope. We have to account for these separately. As I explained to you, it's a different system and it's a different paper, and there is no facility for those to be kept.
Do you know what? Why do I bother? You council people are just ridiculous. Just throw it away. I can't even be bothered.
So at the close of poll, the presiding officer, Gary, will start to fill in his paperwork while the poll clerk, myself, will go and take the notices down and start folding up the ballot booths. Gary will show you how to fill in your ballot paper account and what envelopes things go in.
Okay, so at the close of the poll, the first thing we ask you to do is your ballot paper account. Make a note of the next ballot paper number that you're going to issue. In this case, my next ballot paper number to be issued is ballot paper number 135. I then deduct the number on the first ballot paper that I issued, which was number 1, and that means I have 134. Earlier on this evening I issued 2 spoilt ballot papers, which I put to one side. I have 2 spoilt ballot papers. So I put 2 in there, and my total number, subtracting one from the other, is 132. So 132 should be the number of ballot papers that will be in my ballot box when it arrives at the count and is opened and counted. You also need to make a record of the number of tendered ballot papers that you issued, and I had one awkward customer earlier this evening to whom I issued a tendered ballot paper. So I know that the number of tendered ballot papers I've issued is 1. I know that I have 19 papers left from the original 20, and I haven't issued any spoilt ballot papers. And that means that the total number of tendered papers I have is 20, which was 20 that I received at the start of the evening.
Right, at the end of poll, you'll go and seal your ballot box. If you have one of these flat pack boxes, you need to seal the top zip. So again, as you did the other, you will zip around into the grey, and then again with your seal, you see the pointy up bit will go upwards this time. You press that in and seal the box. The box is now sealed, making sure that you write that number on the back of the ballot paper account.
And with the rigid plastic boxes, it's very simple. At the close of poll, we simply close up the slot which has been available for posting the papers, and we push one of the brown seals through that, such that the box is now sealed and nothing else can be added to it. Okay, so at the close of poll, all of the official envelopes, with the exception of the ballot paper account, which will be in packet number 7, will go into the clear plastic sack. The ballot paper account, we ask that you pop inside envelope or packet number 7, and this must be retained with the ballot box. So that will go with the ballot box, and you will tape that onto the box. All the other official envelopes will go into the clear sack. There we go. The only other documents that we want handed in separately with the ballot box will be your pink envelope, and inside the pink envelope will be your polling station logbook, your hourly record of votes cast, and the mileage claims of the presiding officer and poll clerk or poll clerks. Do not tape that to the box, keep it there and hand it in separately. And also your red or your green postal voting wallet, keep that with the box and hand that in separately. So ballot box with count on it, pink envelope and green postal vote wallet. All the other official envelopes will go in the clear sack. So you will have a label for your clear sack, and that will be where you put all the other envelopes. So your marked copy of the register will go into packet number 4. And what we're suggesting this time round is that the alphabetical register also goes in that envelope. So put both of your registers into packet 4 and pop those in the clear sack, along with your proxy voters list. The corresponding numbers list goes in packet number 9. And all your other official envelopes will also go into that clear sack. So I won't go through all those now, but it will be your appointment letters, certificates of employment that have been handed in, any tendered papers that you had. So I had one earlier this evening, so that tendered paper I will pop into that envelope and put into the sack. And also the list of all the appropriate forms if you've had persons assisting somebody with a disability or persons marking votes for other people. All of those go in the clear sack along with your unused ballot papers. And with the unused ballot papers, the way we've always suggested you do this is to make a pile comprising of any tendered ballot papers that you've not issued. Earlier today I had 2 spoilt ballot papers, they go on top of that, and then I turn over the number of the next ballot paper to be issued and add that to those, making a nice pile, and then tape those all up with the number of the next ballot paper to be issued still clearly visible. That will be the same number as that you've put on your ballot paper account. But it's useful for us to be able to see that, because we will also record that at ballot box reception, so that if there's any difficulty in reading it on the ballot paper account, then we have a second mechanism by which we can confirm what that number is, and a second means of checking that everything is in order in terms of the total number of ballot papers in the box. When you've put some more tape around there and made it all secure, and put label number 2 on there. There is no packet to number 2, there is simply a label number 2. And we ask that you put that, in fact you don't need all of that on there. With label 2 as well, something that came to light at the last election was, it does actually say, because it's a standard Shaw's form, at the very top of that label, attach this to the brown paper sack, fold over the sack and seal it. Please don't do that. We don't want you to use the brown paper sack for anything to do with ballot papers. Simply cut that off the top. You'll need about 10 minutes doing this during the course of the day, actually. And then seal that on there in such a manner as you are not covering up the number of the next ballot paper to be issued, and put your pack, better bound than that, into your sack with all the other official envelopes. Okay, we mentioned the brown sack. As I said, we don't want you to use this for unused ballot papers. The suggestion is simply that any poll cards that you get handed in, and those which you can't persuade the voters to take away with them, simply put those into the brown sack and bring those to the ballot box reception, and we will dispose of those as confidential materials. Everything else will go into the black sack. So please don't use this for food waste, drink cans or anything else during the course of the day. But you can use it for those forms which you've not issued, or the signs that you take down, your guidance for tellers, all your stationery and unused signage, unused seals, the blind device, and any polling station handbooks or quick guides can all go into that sack, and that is handed in separately at the close of poll. You will also have, as we've had in previous years, some quite comprehensive packing up instructions, so do follow those closely. There should be everything on there. And any queries that you have from electors, we will once again issue you with some business cards which you can hand out to anybody who has a concern, such that they can contact the back office.
It's absolutely essential that you follow the packing up instructions when you're closing down your polling station at the end of the day. This is so that when you arrive at the count venue, we can check everything off efficiently and quickly and get you home as soon as possible. And also because some of you are going to be going to the Bury St Edmunds Leisure Centre, so we need to let our colleagues in Bury know what to expect when you turn up at the venue with all your polling equipment.